Yo, what's up, guys? Bajheera here, back at it again with another Path of Exile, Smith of Kitava, warrior build update. Man, oh man, this character's been a blast so far, and we have been pumping. We've been making some good quality gains on this dude. Yesterday was a crazy day. We leveled through the campaign, not yesterday, but we leveled through the campaign, got to early maps, got ourselves some gains, and then we've been blasting through, farmed up some good resources during that session. We went from level 78 to level, what, 86? So we've been hammering. We're doing like tier 12, 13 maps right now, and I am starting to feel a little bit of like the barriers coming. However, that was with the gear we got, or the gear we had before we used all the resources we farmed last night to buy some new stuff. So yeah, we might be blasting into like T15s today. We shall see. This is what we're looking like right now. Chaos resist is still quite low, but we're working on that. That's like one of the big objectives. But I feel like we're doing some pretty good quality damage. We're blasting through the end game. I'm really liking some of the end game updates with like how dense the maps are, the corruption stuff, the cleanse stuff is cool. I guess we'll get this guy our one exalt trade. I mean, we don't have that much money, okay? We're not balling like that, although we did find like 3 divines yesterday, just on the ground, just dropped them on the ground, which is pretty crazy. But I don't think I'm like too cool to take a 1C trade. You want 2 of them, bro? I got like 2 of these things. I guess that one's 19% cast speed. All right, we'll fire this thing up. But anyway, all in all, the build's feeling great. Warrior feels solid. I just saw a comment on YouTube where somebody was like, man, playing Warrior really is a different game, isn't it? And it was like, people used to say that, but they meant it in a bad way. Now, they say it, and maybe they mean it in a good way. Like, maybe Warrior was like a teeny bit better than it was last league, but because of the way that things have changed, I think that means that Warrior's, like, good. And I would be playing Warrior anyway, so I think we picked a good one. Regardless, let's quit yapping, because we actually are like a little bit busy today. We're a bit on a timer today. Let's get down to business. So for my ascendancy, I still haven't even done my 3rd ascendancy yet. We just still have the resistances, buffs, basically, where fire resistance grants like 50% of its value to cold and lightning resistance, which is great, makes it really easy to cap res. And then we have modifiers. The max fire res also grant max cold and lightning res, which is very cool. Eventually, I might just do my 3rd and 4th ascendancy like back to back, because I don't know if I want to do like the armor with only 2 perks. But when I get it, I'm probably going to do either life or strength, along with max fire res, damage taken as, and then maybe something else like regen, maybe. Or we could just do just life, armor, max res, physical damage taken as fire. I think that would be pretty sick. That combo would be awesome. But we're working on it. I just haven't really wanted to do my ascendancy. I just wanted to just keep doing maps. I'm having fun with that, so all good. Just quickly reviewing, we have gotten melee damage into brutal. We have gotten some of this armor stuff into relentless. I did have enough points to go back into here to grab area of effect damage and go into the attack speed, which is really, really nice. We have skill speed up here, and I didn't really grab the speed stuff until later on in my leveling, but it could be nice along the way. This is really more of a snapshot of what my character looks like at level 86, and it's not necessarily representative of how I leveled through. Just keep that in mind. But we do have videos for that too. And all of it is in the, like, all of my leveling can be found in the live tab on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also check out the VODs on Twitch. We are live on Twitch and YouTube like every day right now, by the way, so good long sessions of gaming if you guys want to come out and see what the build looks like in maps and in bosses and stuff. So we have the 2-handed damage. That does reduce attack speed, which is a bummer, but it is what it is because it hits like a freaking truck. We also are buffing our AoE, so we're looking for a lot of damage, a lot of AoE. That's the name of the game here. So more AoE and area damage with big aftershock AoE, which is awesome, because I think the aftershocks that you get from Boneshatter, Impact, Shockwave, Gem support are affected by this, but we're also using Stampede a little bit, and when it aftershocks, it hits hard, and it hits a big AoE too. So we're grabbing some strength, so we can grab more strength right there. We're grabbing a lot of strength on the tree. We may not need as much strength on the tree because we have a lot of strength on our actual gear now, but I'm not really ready to give it up, so that's okay. We have a rage on hit melee jewel right here, which is awesome. A little bit of chance to inflict bleeding thorns damage. These jewels are not very good, but they give me rage, and that's good enough for right now. Speaking of rage, I actually am investing in the inherent loss of rage is slower and it starts later talent. This is pretty nice because we're actually able to make halfway decent use of rage at the moment. And I'll show you a couple of reasons why. One of them is this jewel, though. We're grabbing the stun threshold and strength. Love strength on the tree. Love the increased max life. Love the stun threshold. We're still using resolute technique. We cannot have our hits be evaded, so our hits cannot miss, but they cannot crit, but that's okay. We don't really want crit right now anyway. We have more AoE in here, attack damage, and then more AoE if you stun an enemy recently. Lots more AoE on the tree. Let me scoot this over just a little bit. We've got slower attack speed, but more damage, more stun buildup. Love that. Now we have gone through here, and I actually grabbed the mace stuff again. I went down through the maces because we are aftershocking a little bit occasionally. Sometimes when that Hammer of the Gods gets the guaranteed aftershock from Seismic Shout, and then it aftershocks again and it hits the boss 3 times, they just get deleted, so that's pretty fun for bossing and mapping. Aftershocks on Stampede, like I said, if that's something that we want to do, we do need to take all this stuff. Plus, these damage nodes are insane. And then, of course, this is insane, too. I used to have increased stun duration on my mace. I changed my mace, and now I don't, so we're going to have to see how that feels really bad. But I think this still affects Boneshatter damage, so that's cool. Enemies are technically heavily stunned when they get hit, so hopefully that affects the Boneshatter damage. 20% more damage is huge anyway, so we're going up here. We are grabbing these Rage when hit by an enemy nodes. This is one of my favorite wheels. I don't know if it's that good. I liked it even better when this used to be attack speed, but it's not anymore, so whatever. But we have the Rage when hit. This is a lot of Rage. This is 11 Rage when hit by an enemy, so that's pretty crazy. And then Rage also grants armor, which is kind of nice. Another jewel socket. We have 2 Rage when hit here. You'll notice that both of my jewels have bleeding. I have another jewel that was 7% bleeding as well. I switched it out, but that's quite a bit of bleed chance just on jewels. That's pretty cool. Jewels, in general, I like things like block chance, Rage on hit. I like Rage when hit, and then bleed chance. All of those kind of things are pretty cool jewels right now. And then we go up here. I like the close damage buff because it's a pretty big increase in damage. 40% increased damage is pretty nice. And then we have increased melee damage, and then you also get the extra AoE as well. This kind of thing, these points could be potentially better invested getting to this stuff right here, which is a very similar situation, right? It's just a whole bunch of attack damage with AoE and strength, and then you get the 40% increased damage with 2-handed weapons with stun buildup. So this may eventually get taken off, or we could just keep pathing down to it and get this eventually. I've had my eye on this, and I want this. This just hasn't really been in the cards quite yet because we're getting other things. But I'm eyeing it. I'm eyeing it, and this is one of those places where we could take it out of. So instead of close damage, we get just straight up damage, right? Which would be nice. But anyway, that's one of the things I'm thinking. Sometimes it's kind of fun to talk to you guys about like where I'm thinking about going, in addition to where I've gone and why. But this is just easy to get to. I like the max res stuff a lot. The fire res plus max fire res is plus max all res, and then we also get plus max all res here too. So I like this stuff. But it's like you could almost slice off like all of this, right? Because we have anointed Titanic. We took the points out of it because I anointed it. So we could almost slice all of this off if I didn't want the max res and if I didn't really mind losing the rage and the armor. And we could take all of this off. And then we would have a lot more points to spend like over here. So I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. But we're definitely going down here for strength, reduced mana. More damage for strength is cool. We are going for Giant's Blood. One of the reasons why we're grabbing so much strength on the tree is Giant's Blood, so we can use a 2-handed weapon in one hand. That means that we can use a shield and a 2-hander. Eventually, if we're insane, we could use 2 2-handers, but you're going to need to have a whole lot of just defense for that, like armor, life, max res. We're going to have max res, but we'll see about the armor and life, because you take every hit that hits you, right? You don't get to block anything, even though I'm not investing in block, which we could do, by the way. If we are getting decked defensively in these T15 maps, which we very well may, instead of taking all these points and putting it in damage, like I would just like to do because damage is fun, we may want to start filling in like a little bit of like block here, a little bit of like block here, a little bit of block here with some of these remaining points, and that would make us defensively stronger because those maps, those T15 maps, them red maps, those are going to get your attention. And we've been hanging in there okay for now, but defense investment may be something that we need to do, and block is one place to do it. Another defensive investment we've made is more max res. This is a huge node. +1 to max fire res for each 40% uncapped fire res. So every 40 res you have on your character for fire resistance, That's going to give you +1 max fire res. Of course, what plus, you know, max fire res is all res. Boom. You can see where that's going. So that's pretty crazy. Another thing we might want to do eventually, as we get these like 600 strength requirement weapons, is we may eventually start pathing all the way down here to polymath, and then we could even do reduced attribute requirements if it's that hard, but we are playing trade, so we have access to some good strength gear as long as we can farm currency. Another thing we're going to have to think about at some point, guys, is we are going to need to start making a weapon swap. I haven't made like a weapon swap yet. People use weapon swap different ways. I tend to use weapon swap like it's a dual spec in WoW. I would just take my weapons out of set 1 for mapping, and I will put them in set 2 for bossing, and I'll just fight the boss in my bossing set. Sometimes people will use like a 2-hammer weapon swap to just do like a big hammer of the gods against the boss. Also really powerful, but I didn't usually do that because I didn't have just 3 hammers to use, so I didn't do that. Another thing I might do is come down here. Eventually, if we decided to fix our accuracy and we wanted to use Sunder for like big damage, we could do this node right here where we get more attack speed and accuracy. That could be nice. I like this stuff. That could be cool, and it's really not that far away. It's a little bit of pathing, but it's not that bad. And there are some cool things that you can get along the way. Like this armor break stuff is cool, but the block stuff is also cool. Like there's a lot of really neat nodes in this zone that I do like. And so we have options on where to go if we wanted to like take points out of here to go into this area right here. This is also somewhere we could go for bleed. If we wanted to go down into polymath, then that also gives us access to all of this bleed stuff for like weapon swap, single target, things that we've done before, especially with my Titan, which I liked a lot. I feel like I'm not doing the exact same thing on my Titan, but I'm like, oh yeah, I think we spent a period of time in this level range, like investing in rage and stuff. So it's like, there are things that I did on my other character to be strong at certain like level brackets that I think I'm kind of leaning back into, which is fun because the character changes as time goes on and as your challenges that you face arise, and as you have this amount of points to optimize to get your power a certain place for that progression point. It's really cool. But this is where my talents are right now. I am liking it. I love having rage. I really like the attack speed right now. That's smooth for mapping because a great way to not die in maps is to be faster than the enemies, right? So you can get your attack off before they get their attack off. You can be in and out with your elite Boneshatter combo before they can really smack you. So that's the attack speed is feeling very good. And of course, one of the places we have attack speed is our weapon and our gloves, which I don't think I've shown you guys yet. The gloves are new. But let's talk about our skills real quick. Again, if you guys have been watching these videos, you're probably recognizing what's happening with my skills. But if you haven't been keeping up with the videos, this is your first time watching one of the Smith of Kitava updates, then I would like to show you guys what we're cooking with. So, with Mace Strike, I don't use Mace Strike much. When I do, I'm just going to smack an enemy to try to like finish it off most of the time. So when I do that, I'm using Close Combat, I'm using Lacerate. Lacerate may eventually go on Hammer of the Gods though, so don't get too attached with it here. Rage Support, again, just kind of a potato ability. This is really the only thing that matters about my basic attack is Culling Strike. It will automatically finish off enemies at a certain health threshold. Those health thresholds being 30% for normal mobs, 20% for magic mons, 10% for rares, 5% per unique. So I'm just going and then killing the monster that way. Leap Slam, this is a very important one. Overpower for more stun buildup. This is like the most important, like besides Boneshatter, this is the most important support for Warrior, right? This is the one. This is the thing that changed it all. Brink support. Stun buildup caused by supported skills cannot reach 100%. So you cannot leap slam into a pack and they all go, ugh, and they just get stunned. And you're like, dang it, man, now I can't bone shatter them. This stops that from happening. This means that whatever skill you have this jewel or this gem socketed into, they can't be fully stunned by it. So leap slam will either kill the enemy or it will, like, I mean, I guess if you don't stun them enough, then they won't be stunned. But if you have enough stun threshold build up on the enemies, stun build up on the enemies, thanks to this, hopefully, and your damage and your talent tree, they will be primed for stun for Boneshatter. Really nice. Holy Descent is kind of nice. It plops the little heal on the ground, which is kind of nice. A lot of times we're kind of sticking and moving though. We're like rolling out of it and stuff. So it's just like it's nice to have though. And eventually we might do something else with it, but that's what I've got right now. It's nice on bosses too. When you're like trying to build stun build up, you use your little daze shout and just jumping on them. At least you're healing, which is kind of cool. But these two abilities are your bread and butter. So you have the stun build up, the priming for stun with Leap Slam, then you have Boneshatter. Impact Shockwave makes a aftershock when they heavy stun an enemy. If you hit an enemy with Boneshatter and they have the little circle on them, they're primed for stun. It turns it into a heavy stun. Big AoE everywhere. And then we're buffing that AoE with Magnified Effect. And we are using Reach, which is also more AoE. Supported skills have less accuracy rating against enemies within 2 meters. We can't miss. Doesn't matter. Accuracy is not a problem for us. So it always hits. Just so this is just free 35% more AoE. And then this is something that I'm doing right now with my build, where we are fully armor breaking an enemy with heavy stun. This is something that is definitely not uncommon to use with Boneshatter. There's not a ton that I'm doing with armor break right now, besides I am trying out scavenged plating, because my armor's starting to get a little bit low, and we're getting into the level of maps where mobs are hitting really, really freaking hard. So I'm using Devastate to give me like full stacks of my scavenged plating armor buff, like instantly when you hit a pack. And then I'm also doing some stuff with armor break. This would be like really important later on when we are doing like Sunder if we wanted to. And you could also definitely make the argument that if you're using Devastate, you can put Armor Explosion in Boneshatter to make it do more damage. However, I find that just having more AoE feels better, and it does enough damage that I can put like a non-damage support in there just for utility. So it's almost like defensive utility on Boneshatter right now. But what you can do now is you can match Hammer the Gods up with this Armor Broken effect to give you more damage. So I'm using Rage Forge, so I'm consuming Rage with Hammer the Gods to do more damage with it. We're doing Heavy Swing, where it casts a little bit more slowly, but it does a big chunk of damage. And then we have this one. Supported skills consume enemy fully broken armor to deal 40% more damage. So against like a boss or against a big rare, you're getting them to stun threshold point, boosh, whacking them with Boneshatter. They're knocked back, stunned, armor fully broken. You hit your Infernal Cry, Seismic Cry, bring down the hammer, consumes the fully armor broken effect, to do a huge damage hit. Then it goes another shockwave or aftershock, and then maybe even another one. So that's a big heavy hitter. That's a nasty combo. That's like your big single target right there. Your AoE, like your clear, is like Leap Slam into Boneshatter, bop bop, over and over. But sometimes you can Stampede, but we'll talk about that. Stampede is kind of like, I like Stampede, so it's kind of something I'm working on, but it's not really there yet. Rolling Slam. Rolling Slam currently is kind of like my catch-all. It's like, I don't use it a ton, but sometimes like, okay, so I Boneshatter them, they didn't die. Do I want to use a hammer on this enemy? Not really. Or hammer's on cooldown or something. Or like, I did my combo on a boss, and now like, what do? I'm just standing here waiting for hammer to go down. So I'll Rolling Slam them. It's okay. Eventually, I think I would like this to be Sunder, ideally. And if those aren't good enough, if it's like not doing enough damage, you could also put Perfect Strike back in this kind of like, this is what this ability does, right? Perfect Strike could be there too, but I thought ideally this is Sunder later. Anyway, it does more physical damage, but no elemental or chaos damage. It periodically will do more AoE and more damage. I don't know if I really like this here. Usually I'm using this ability back to back, so it's probably a situation where I should maybe even use like Heavy Swing here. You know, it's like, yeah, no. I could do Rage Forged. I mean, probably should do Heavy Swing, but I just like having the extra damage on here. Anyway, I also think Fist of War is bugged. I think it doesn't actually increase its AoE. I think it like decreases the AoE. Anyway, I still have it here. And then I have Heft. More physical damage, max hit, so not something I'm investing in very much, but it is what it is. You could also put like, if you wanted to, you could put like a concentrated effect, right? Make it hit a smaller AoE but hit harder, but whatever. My stats have changed too, so I have a lot more room to put other gems in now, by the way. So we could go back to doing like other stuff that's interesting. Like we could do like momentum, or could put like, what's it called, martial prowess in here and make it go off faster. Anyway, we've made some gains and I haven't actually fully made use of it yet. But Infernal Cry and Seismic Cry, these are important for your combo. So usually I'm using Infernal into Seismic for like hitting hard with aftershock effects. Seismic really only will affect stunned. You want to use it on a stunned enemy to give you that guaranteed aftershock, but you can still use it as like just a normal shout, just like debuff enemies with the Dazing Cry. But anyway, let's talk about this. So skills empowered by Infernal Cry will deal more damage. And what Infernal Cry does, just in general, is it basically gives you more damage as fire on your attack, on your next attack. So it can hit really freaking hard, and you can get a nasty ignite on a Hammer of the Gods because you are going to be doing a lot of fire damage. So I have it buffing the next skill. I have it costing a little bit less, which is fine, and it also gives me rage per power of counter enemies. So if you're using on a bunch of enemies, that'll give you some power. If you're using it on a stronger enemy, it'll give you some power, and if you're using it on like a boss, it'll give you like that. Those are like 20 power each, and you can just look at it like here. You can also always have 20 power, so you're getting 16 rage to use, which is plenty to set up our other combo, which is Seismic Cry. I'm just using Seismic Cry to just daze, like so. I'll use it on a boss, and then I'll just jump on him for a while, or Rolling Slam to kind of stun him, build stun, build up. This is converted to life cost, so it doesn't just shred all of your mana using your 2 shots back to back. And then it will consume up to 10 rage. We're getting 16 rage from bosses, remember, so that's fine. Empowering them to deal 30% more damage. So that Hammer of the Gods is getting Giga buffed, right? It's getting Infernal Cry buffed. It's getting Premeditation buffed. It's getting Enraged Warcry buffed. It's getting buffed by all of this stuff too. So it's going to be a big, heavy hit. And of course, Infernal Cry, just giving it more fire damage. So that's your combo there. Now, so you have some options with your auras. So Herald of Ash is nice for clear. I'm trying Scavenge Plating. And when you do it, you're going to make it have more duration, and you're going to make it, I mean, you can use any buff, but I'm using Cannibalism just in this slot for 2% of max life recovered on kill, which is great. I'm still using Time of Need. I like this one. It's less duration, so it procs more frequently. We're using Clarity to give me mana regen, and we're using Herbalism to give me more flask healing when it's active. So against the boss, you could also consider throwing on Overwhelming Presence for more stun buildup. That could be cool. And then now that we're using all this rage, and it's actually something that is sustained, you can use Berserk to do more damage as well if you wanted to. And then way down here, we have good old Stampede. Stampede is currently, it's in its like chrysalis phase. It's not even hardly useful yet, but it will be. We're using Momentum, we're using Aftershock, and then we're also using this interesting thing, Reverberate. I don't think this is the best skill to use Reverberate on because its attack time isn't actually that long. But yeah, it's actually really not useful. It's only 0.61 seconds because all of our attack speed. But eventually we'll put something on here. We'll put a bunch of stuff on here where we can probably just run through maps and kill things with Stampede with like Splinter and Armor Explosion would be great. Stacking more AoE on here is cool. Just more damage on this thing is cool. We definitely have some options, and we will experiment as time goes on. I like Stampede, so it's kind of like sneakily in the build right now, even if I don't use it a ton. But sometimes. All right, that's the skills. Let me show you the gear real quick. We did make some gear gains. This is one of those things that has a pretty big impact. The biggest thing is we found a bunch of divines yesterday. Like I say, a bunch, like maybe 3, maybe 4. And I spent 2 divines on this weapon. So this guy, it's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous, but for 2 divines, it's solid. So it's given us physical damage, increased physical damage, attack speed, strength, and damage leads to his life. All right? Try to finish this up before the background noise goes too crazy. But again, rings, life, strength, a little bit of resist is cool. Fire resist is always good. I'm gonna breeze through this because my guys got some work to do. We got some max life, strength, fire resist, great. Accuracy doesn't really help us right now. If we want to invest in it later, we can. But some of the new stuff is like, I think we got this ring, which is new. Amulet's new. A bunch of armor, life, all attributes with strength and dex. So, I mean, eventually with amulets, you want like percent max life would be cool, but plus melee skills would be cool. We don't have it yet, so we're just going for a bunch of stats just to make sure we have what we want. When we have 542 strength, which is plenty, and we have a good amount of like dex and intelligence. We actually have a lot because we can use some of these suffixes on gear instead of on resistances. We can use it on stats, which is kind of neat. We have other options with Smithy Kitava, but we're still using this good old chest piece. It is on the chopping block though. When we ascend, we will not be using a chest piece anymore, but thankfully we're not really going to lose that much off this chest piece except for like some armor. Even if I lost the strength, we can still look at my weapon exactly. So that's pretty funny. We have the exact amount. So even though the weapon doesn't have like insane suffixes, and it doesn't mean this is a weapon that could be improved in a lot of different ways. For 2 div, it's fine. 2 div will eventually buy you a way better weapon than this, even like in just a couple days, I bet. So, but we found 2 div on the ground. Let's get us a new weapon, right? These gloves, we found them. These are cool, man. They have a little bit of life. I mean, a decent amount of life. Added fizz to attacks, increased attack speed. That lightning res is not really necessary, but like, okay. Fine. And it also leeches physical attack damage as mana. So what you really want on gloves is, for me, suffix-wise, is like attack speed plus melee skills, and like chaos res would be good. But this is cool. We have mana leech on this ring, but I mean, now we can switch the ring if we wanted to. Although the ring is half decent. It's got life, strength, intelligence, mana leech. But the increased lightning damage and chaos damage, like, that's not doing anything for us, right? But the rarity might be all right. And we also found this boar talisman. Those little spirit thingies, Spirits of Azamiri, give you some really cool stuff. And rage on melee hit for gloves is insane. We've got the belt. I think is this new? I don't think so. Strength, life, resist. The recovery applied instantly is kind of cool. And then for boots, we've got movement speed is the priority here, with life and strength, a little bit of resist, and we also are finally starting to be able to socket in some chaos resistance, because our fire resistance is good enough. I want to keep my fire resistance like above 120, because you want to hit those like, you know, 40% breakpoints, right? So you still get the extra max fire res, which is extra max all res. And then my shield, you want block chance on shield. That's like the most important thing, is block chance. It also gives me some strength, some fire resist. Again, lightning resist is not important, so we're not super attached to this shield in particular, but what we want on the shield is like block chance, strength. Life would be great. Armor's okay, but life would be really good. And then suffixes, we want like, I think increased physical damage reduction is a suffix. Just physical damage reduction. Let me see, am I selling the one that I had that had increased phys damage reduction? Yeah, the 4% additional physical damage reduction is a suffix, so that would be a great suffix to have instead of like resist and stuff. So like life, block, armor, and then strength, physical damage reduction. Like, this is a good shield. I might even have to put that back on. We'll see. I'll think about it. This one's nice too, though, right? It just gives you more strength. But if I don't need the strength, then maybe we'll do it. I'll think about it. We need the resist, though, regardless. My flasks, I like the percentage of recovery applied instantly. And then I think the best suffix to have is the one that gives you just gain flask charge over time, but chance to gain a charge when you kill an enemy is cool. That's what we have here, too. For Mana Flask, and then I'm still using an Amethyst Charm. This one does recover a charge when you kill an enemy, though, or has a chance to, so you don't want to rely on this to prop up your resist, but like, that's what we're doing right now, and it's at least up more frequently, so that's good. I gotta get to the gym. We got Peeps doing some work at the house, so we are not gonna do a gameplay showcase right now, but we will be on stream later today, starting around 4 p.m. PST, for an 8-hour session of gaming. So the gameplay itself will probably look very similar to what it has looked like before, but now we're a little bit more juiced up with a new weapon, and we have a little bit more attack speed and more rage sustain. So I really like to keep attack speed on the weapon and gloves. The weapon could have, again, stun duration, melee skills would be awesome for suffixes, and then for prefixes you want % increased fizz, flat fizz, and then the % increased fizz accuracy hybrid would be cool. This one, again, it's not insane, but it'll get the job done for now. Really having fun with this character, really having fun with this game. We are pumping, hammering T13 maps. We're gonna be progging today, and we will continue to sort of face the challenges of the build of like making sure that our defense and our offense is working the right way. And then we're gonna be farming up some resources. Kind of what I do is I game while we're gaming, and then after the stream, I'm like, all right, getting some food. It's like, all right, let's go shopping, and we buy some stuff, and then we show it off in the build update, and then we take the gaming session later to really put it into use and see what progress we can make. But that's what my character's looking like right now. All in all, pretty dang good. Having a blast. Really appreciate you guys tuning into the videos and the streams. If the content does well, we get to play more PoE, which is the dream. So make sure you guys swing by, say hi, give the videos some love, tune into the stream, and we'll keep the Path of Exile content pumping, man. But I'm gonna get to the gym, then I'm gonna go pick up my boy, hang out with him, and then we'll be back on for the evening sesh for some big time gaming. But either way, thanks for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying the videos. Be sure to show them some love in the likes and comments if you do. Subscribe for more. We'll see you guys on stream. Peace.